So I know a lot of you were probably excited to go see that new Joker movie that just came out, and honestly, I didn't even know there was a Joker movie coming out until just a couple days before it was set to come out. I don't know if that was like part of the marketing or whatever, but I think it probably just boils down to the fact that I don't really keep up with movies. I don't really go see that many movies. I only go see ones that I guess my friends want to go see. I don't know, I probably will go see it though. People are saying that it is really good so far, so I probably will have to go take a look at it. I mean, what's the worst that could happen? I spend $18 on a movie ticket or whatever. I don't know. But I'll have to bring a friend. All jokes aside, because us single men, man, we're a terror to this country. We're always causing harm. So, with all that being said, I did find out that there was a new Joker movie coming out, and I got kind of scared because the news on Twitter made it out like the apocalypse was coming with this new Joker movie. I legitimately was kind of worried. I was like, what's about to happen? Like, how bad is this movie for people to be this worried about it? So, like on the front page of Twitter's headline about the entire movie thing, they kept talking about these security scares, these security problems with the Joker movie. I was like, what are they talking about? What kind of security problems is there specifically about this movie alone? Because I understand that the Joker, he's a creepier character than your average, but most people are intelligent enough to realize that, hey, movies aren't really the reason that people go out and just start killing everybody. Well, apparently, people online made a bunch of threats. That's what a lot of these articles had said. They said there was a lot of threats made online. They all pretty much said the same thing. There were threats online made for violence. They never really went into details, but they all just essentially repeated the same phrase. There were threats made online for violence. Waves of threats online made for violence made police step up their security presence nationwide. So I was like, okay, I guess. I don't think there's necessarily a bad thing about there being more police to protect people, as long as they're doing their job properly, you know? At least, well, hopefully they don't even have to do their job properly. As of right now, I don't think there has been any violence or anything tied to this movie yet, so... But let's take a look at this article. I think this one really sums everything up pretty well. It's essentially the same article that everyone else is writing. They're all pretty much the same exact article. And I'll tell you what I think about all this at the end, so... I'm not going to tell you too much about the movie. I haven't seen it, so I can't really spoil it for you. All that this article says is that it's a movie that takes place in 1981. It tells the backstory of Arthur Fleck, a failed stand-up comedian who finds salvation by turning to murder in Gotham City. Even before the release, Warner Brothers faced protests from families of mass shooting victims who feared it would lead to violence or copycat attacks, because the mentally insane people who actually do these horrible things, when they find reason to do these things, they pretty much always, look at movies, and they say, oh yeah, well, I think that the movie is the reason that I want to do this today. They always look at stuff like that. It's not usually politically motivated, or something like that, you know, something even worse in the grand scheme of things. So, in a joint bulletin, the FBI and the Department of Homeland Security warned law enforcement after online threats called for mass shootings at movie showings. The bulletin shared with police this week said while federal authorities had no information leading to specific or credible threats to particular venues, they had received tips of threats posted on social media since at least May. So they had no information leading to a credible or a specific threat to a particular venue. This is the federal government, but yet the media was reporting on it like they had just waves of just horrible, credible threats to all movie theaters across the country. That's what I thought was going on, okay? When I first read Twitter's headline on this whole thing, and they were talking about there was just waves of threats, I thought hundreds of movie theaters across the country got legitimate threats. People had phoned in threats to different places, or they were mailing in threats. All kinds of things. No, there hasn't been a credible threat apparently found by the FBI or the Department of Homeland Security. The only credible threat, quote unquote, that I'm even aware of is only been made to one theater, and it was one that was made to one in Huntington Beach in California. And police were deployed there in heavy presence until the theater actually decided to close down that day. So, and the crazy thing is they couldn't even determine whether or not the threat was made specifically to the Joker filming. So that's something else that the media ran wild with on that one. So the one confirmed threat, it seems like, that this article's reporting on at least, isn't even confirmed to be related to the Joker movie in the first place, and it's apparently being assumed that it's just related to Joker. That's what we're gonna assume that it's related to. And it probably is. I mean, there is a lot of online threats apparently being made, but there's online threats made all the time. Online threats are made against everyone all the time. There's online threats made against me all the time. I really think that this is weird, because the media is treating this so weirdly, because there really isn't a problem with this movie. Like, isn't it incredible how this movie has come out and there hasn't been an issue at all at any of these screenings yet? There hasn't been like any mass tragedy or anything. I think a lot of people put it really well when they say things like this, like Chris Raygun said this on Twitter. A lot of people said this on Twitter, and I think that this really holds up well because it helps people like the media. I think at this point, the media really does try to push these mass things like this, like these mass shootings and these mass casualties, because at this point, they're just blatantly exaggerating what's going on in this whole situation here to make this whole thing a way bigger deal than what actually is going on, trying to make it out like there's some big major security issue at this movie when there isn't really, and it's simply just to serve them more traffic, clicks, and ultimately profit. Because let's be honest, when things like this happen, who gets the most out of it? You know what I'm saying? The media does, because they get to report on it for 3 weeks straight, because they get to publish everyone's faces, names, every little detail about it 24/7 all over the place, and they get to plaster it everywhere and make everyone read about it forever. You know what I'm saying? And every time that it happens, and unfortunately it happens too often, they make a killing off of these things. And in a situation like this, where there hasn't been any sort of issue yet, and it seems like they're just pushing people over the edge and trying to get people to actually do something like this, it just feels really odd, and it feels really sick. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just really horrible to feel that way and to feel that kind of premonition, but man, it really does feel that way. Because why else would they just, like, exaggerate this for sensationalism? Because if you really think about it, because in reality, if you're going to sit around and, like, worry about whether or not somebody online is, like, actually going to do this, you know what I'm saying, is, like, actually going to hurt people, then you really can't go anywhere, because threats are made against literally everything all the time. People are always threatening to do things against churches. People are always threatening to do things against grocery stores, against stadiums, against pretty much everywhere that you go every day. The school that you go to, people have probably made threats. You know what I'm saying? Like, there is no escaping it. Like, it's just part of what people do. Like, it's an unfortunate reality. People make threats on the internet. Like, people are just, it's a really weird, just disturbing thing. It's a crime. People get punished for it, and it's stupid. But to live your life in fear instead of, you know, going and seeing the movie that you really want to go see, it doesn't really help your life get any better. If you're going to sit around and live in fear over something like that, like, go see the movie, man. At this point, I honestly think more people are actually doing horrible, unspeakable tragedies like this simply so they can get attention in the media and they can become, like, you know, the face of the media for a week than they are for most of these other reasons anyway. So why wouldn't the media sit here and try and push something like this? It's kind of ridiculous that people who are just trying to go see a movie are being classified as security threats. It's kind of ridiculous that a fictional movie about a fictional character set in a fictional city in a fictional timeline is actually causing people to freak out, but, you know, whatever. You guys keep freaking out or whatever, I guess. And here's the thing. If something does happen at one of these movies, let's just go on a limb and say something does happen, and let's say the media was right, their little fears were right in that, you know, people gonna go see the Joker are actually just a bunch of security threats or whatever, and something does happen at one of these movies. Something unspeakable happens at one of these movies. Why are we blaming a movie for the actions of somebody who did something to a bunch of people? Why are we blaming a movie? How is it a movie's fault that somebody killed a bunch of people? So we're not going to blame the person who actually did it. We're going to blame this movie that everyone else went to see, that a whole crowd was going to go enjoy. It's that movie's fault that that guy did that? What sense does that even make? That makes no sense whatsoever. It doesn't even logically compute whatsoever. Well, he's a bad guy in the movie, so when the bad guy in real life saw the bad guy, he decided he had to do it too. Yeah, okay, that's what happened, because he surely has never seen a bad guy before in his life. People can't differentiate between, you know, fiction and reality. It's impossible for people to do that. That's just my thoughts on this whole thing. I don't understand, man, why we have to keep going down this route. But if you're gonna go see this movie, I hope you do enjoy it. Please don't be a security threat. Please be respectful to everybody around you. Be a good person online. Don't make threats. Don't be an ass. Just be nice, okay, please? With that being said, hopefully you guys did enjoy. If you did, make sure to leave a like. Subscribe if you're brand new around here on my channel. Follow me over on Twitter. Add sub to Optimus. Thank you to my channel members. Your support helps my channel tremendously. And until my next video, guys, this is Optimus. Gonna go see Joker, I guess, maybe at some point. And signing out.